do? Dream Team, it's your boy Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with the FIA just found Max Verstappen's secret. What's going on, Max? Before we dive in, make sure y'all subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. Let's find out what's been happening behind the scenes.
There is no denying of Red Bull's absolute dominance over the past few seasons and this season as well. But is it just Verstappen, or is it their engine, or is it their tire management? Well, to answer that, we need to look into what makes the RB18, RB19, and RB20 so damn fast. Is it the drivers? There is something that gives even Checo the edge, and therefore we can conclude that it's not just the driver, and it has something to do with the variable that holds its value throughout the race: tires. We began to notice really astonishing straight line speeds on the Red Bull cars, but what experts only managed to catch later on was how Red Bull managed to keep their tires in the best arrangement throughout the race weekend. There were some extraordinary scenes at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix last year when the RB19, aka the most dominant Red Bull car so far, was being challenged for the lead by McLaren's Lando Norris, and fans wanted nothing more than a good battle up front. But the excitement faded away after just 15 laps into the race when Lando started dropping off. After the race, when asked what he made of it, the youngster says, "I'm not far behind for the first 10 to 15 laps in, but that final phase, I just drop off a bit too much." And we have seen that in new tires. We can fight for position. But as soon as the tires degrade, then it would appear like Max, Red Bull, they can just have less degradation. The tires were degrading maybe 1/10 every 2 laps, and that's coming straight from the racetrack. The Red Bull are simply degrading less. Plus, when you consider the fact that the power of that Honda engine is one of the most vicious on the track, the low degradation, even after channeling all that energy onto the tarmac, simply doesn't make any sense, or maybe at least to our simple minds. You see,
so they just figured out, know what I'm saying? They said, I mean, in Red Bull, where they break every tiny detail down and figure out how to make the car even 1,000th of a second faster. It seemed like they definitely do that. They just figure out all these ways of, hey, if we can make these tires degrade at a slower pace, we got this one. Hey, we can do this new thing to the engine where we put all this power. Hey, we can do, you know what I'm saying? They just figure it out. And then this one it's about the tires.
Ever since Pirelli was made the official tire distributor for Formula One in 2011, the tire degradation was intentionally made to be greater to allow for more pit stops, more strategy, and, as a result, more excitement for the fans. There were 5 different compounds introduced, ranging from CO, being the hardest, to C5, the softest tire, and all had varying levels of degradation depending upon how soft they were. But that's only half the picture. Every race weekend, FIA decides which 3 tire compounds would be the best for the venue. Now, it is true that heated tires mean more grip, but at hotter venues, the softest compounds are usually not taken, as they not only wear out much faster, they also do not mean more grip. All cars already heat the tires up to 100 degrees Celsius, and pair that with a hot track, you have some slippery tires, prompting FIA to select Formula One venues around the world and their race timings based on the track temperature. And if a track isn't very grippy, teams start to increase their downforce to increase the tire on-road contact surface. A Formula One driver, on average, loses about 4 to 5 kilograms weight at the Singapore Grand Prix and can have trouble breathing at the Mexican Grand Prix because of its 76% air pressure.
4 to 5 kilograms in weight after the race. Like, that's why, like, that's how taxing it is on their bodies. That's how physical it is to be in that car going that speed for that long. That they lose 4 to 5 kilograms during the race. That's wild.
You can't breathe because you have too many forces on your body.
Wow.
So keeping all of this in view, the track temperature should neither be too cold to lose grip, nor too hot to avoid excessive wear, while also not killing the driver. So how does Red Bull perform under all of this? Their suspension. In early 2022, many cars suffered from the porpoising issue. Red Bull did too, and that was because of the reintroduction of the ground effect into the Formula One cars that was previously banished from the racing league because of the high-speed cornering it allowed. But immediately after the epic last lap battle of Hamilton and Verstappen, something had to keep the momentum going, and so, to make races more racy, the ground effect effectively made the cars run lower to the ground and therefore more grippy even during turning. That's where the story began. The porpoising was so bad that teams like Mercedes would regularly lose straight line speeds and positions as well. But the solution that Red Bull brought at that time is what is speculative to be still in play 2 years later. According to the senior F1 columnist, Francesco Bianchi, the suspensions are kept soft enough to ensure that the tires enter the right operating window very quickly, but being stiff enough to keep the aerodynamic platform stable and run the car at a very low ride height. Ensure.
I mean, they can tell me that, and I can read it, but I can't understand it. I don't know about cars like that. So, like, it's crazy to think that they could figure out how to do that, though. Like, these engineers really in the lab just figuring out every possible thing, and it's literally amazing. Because F1 is not just a racing sport. F1 is an engineering sport. It is a creative sport. It is an innovative sport.
Surely other teams might have tried to do the same, theoretically, but why did it work so well for Red Bull? Because everything fell into place. Like Mercedes, pieces of the puzzle fell snug in the 2010s. A similar thing might be happening with Red Bull at the start of this decade. Oh, and nothing to take away from you, Orange Army. This only means that Verstappen would still be winning if he was less talented as well, okay? Go thank Adrian Newey, for God's sakes, because those Red Bull cars are absolute rockets. And wait, there's more. They not only have incredible grip and low wear, but they do all of that with minimal drag too. How? Venturi tunnels. Thanks to the incredible car genius of Newey, the modern Red Bull cars have a system to generate downforce without having to excessively rely on the drag-heavy rear and front wings. With his design, Red Bull has been able to keep up the air, flowing straight and over without sacrificing downforce. And combine that with the innovative cooling system that Red Bull has just introduced with many air intakes around the cockpit. It simply makes for a more efficient, permanently DRS'd black and red car that has seen more consecutive race wins than anyone in recent memory. Plus, it also doesn't hurt to have strategists that are not like those of Ferrari. And in the end, the final and most vital credit goes to the brains behind the wheels, Maxi and Checo, the tire whisperer. Enough though,
the tire
that name
whisperer
no longer fits, as the team principal commented on how the 18-inch rims in 2022 have impacted the Mexican, saying, "I think that Checo, prior to these cars, had a very strong reputation in terms of how he managed those tires. I think these cars reset that somewhat." And regarding tires, about Max setting the new benchmark, he says, "I think Max actually set the bar on that last year. And of course, all the data is open and available between the two drivers and engineering teams. I think he's worked hard to understand how to create that longevity." Happy, Verstappen fans? But in complete transparency, Max Verstappen is somebody completely different. I know you've heard, with great powers comes great responsibility, and it stands true more on the racetrack than anywhere else. Because to be able to control all that power with such consistency is simply beyond what we have seen so far from anyone. This version of Verstappen is no longer crashing into the barriers like in his early days, but is the 3 times world champion now who is rearing to lock in more. It remains yet a mystery whether other teams will be able to catch up to the Red Bull rear wings anytime soon. But what remains certain is that as the season progresses, Red Bull as well as other teams will be bringing in some dramatic new changes to their cars, engines, side pods, front wings, and more, so the fun is only beginning to unfold. With 6 sprint race weekends out of the 20 races yet to happen in the longest ever Formula One season since 75 years in this sport's history of 24 races, the Formula One season is more go than ever before.
It's gonna be crazy. This season not gonna be crazy because obviously Red Bull's gonna win. But it's just so awesome to see all the innovation, all the creativity, every tiny detail that gets looked at to make the driver even just a tiny bit faster. But that's all we got. Make sure y'all subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. It's your boy Neal, out.